Yeah.
Play with proper numbers.
And in Hannaford, you do have to, even for a one level subdivision.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as anywhere else, so the first review will be planning commission, and the second staff. I mean, staff will look at it and they will have approval.
$10.
I'm just waiting, I'm waiting till the money gets up a little bit higher.
So glad to see.
Which one? Those
Was
ones?
that the ones right there? I thought I flipped that thing 15 times. Oh, never mind. No, you got them.
Is that what you wanted?
Yeah.
You gotta slide the whole thing up on the side.
What do what? Say
It's
what?
got a mood light. See that on the side?
Oh.
Alright.
That curve way down. See, look at that.
I didn't know that.
And that goes all the way up and lighten that up.
Oh, that's what I did. do.
Yeah, it's got mood lights on. See, so does this.
Well, I didn't know that. I'll be darned.
All yours,
Oh, mine, I'm kidding.
especially if you support the mayor.
I do. Yeah.
Hey, Ray. How are you? Hello, Ray. All right. You all ready for this, Jeff? Oh, yeah. How am I? I'll be better in about 2 hours. Yeah. Yeah.
You're ready to educate us.
So much folks here for you. Oh. There's- Gary, good, how are you? Good. Glad you made it. Yeah. Saw your brother. Well, we'll have to compare notes. I'll let you know whether it's. Let you know how valid it is. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Yes, are we ready?
Yeah.
We're ready. Everybody's mic on.
Yeah, turn your microphone.
Okay, we will call this meeting to order of the Morgan City Council, October 28th, 2025. We'd like to welcome everyone here. Actually, it's good to see, my mic is on, yes. It's good to see folks here tonight, so we appreciate you coming out. First thing we need to do tonight is do a little housekeeping, and we need to excuse some people from our meeting tonight. We'd like to excuse our city manager, Ty Bailey. Ty was planning on being here digitally tonight, but his father is, I guess, not doing well at all up in Idaho. Is not actually, I guess, not expected to live too much longer, so he's probably airborne right now, so Ty will not be with us. We would like to excuse the mayor, Mayor Gale, from being here in person. I assume he's online or on the phone. Is that right, Mayor?
That's right.
There he is.
We got him.
There he is. Okay. And we'd like to excuse Council Member Eric Turner. Eric is driving home from Nebraska this afternoon, so he is getting an opportunity to look at beautiful I-80 from Nebraska to Evanston. So that is where he is at tonight. So we would like to begin tonight with a Pledge of Allegiance. I have not asked anyone to give the Pledge of Allegiance. Does anybody want to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Do I have any volunteers? Corey will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Corey. Pardon? Give us a prayer. Sure. Father in heaven, we gather before these, we begin our Morgan City Council meeting. Thankful for this opportunity we have to come together. We're thankful for the circumstances and the surroundings that we enjoy. We're thankful for this beautiful valley. We pray now that as we consider the affairs of the city, we may make decisions proper and important and in the best interest of the city and the community therein. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen. Amen. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Corey. We'll move on to the approval of tonight's meeting agenda. We have a motion to approve of the agenda. So moved.
I'll second that, man.
Moved by Jeff Ordell, Jeffrey Richens second. Before we vote on that, I just have, I don't think it matters much, but on the amended agenda, it goes A, B, D, E, F rather than A, B, C, D, E, but I guess that's just a grammatical error. I don't think that's a big thing. So anyway, just happened to mention that. If there's no other comments, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That passes. We'll move on to the consent agenda, the minutes of the city council meeting on September 23rd, 2025, and the warrants from September 22nd, 2025 to October 24th of 2025. Is someone prepared to make a motion on the minutes and the warrants?
Tony, I've read the minutes of the city council meeting September 23rd, 2025, and reviewed the warrants of 9/22 to 10/24, 2025, and moved to approve them.
Motion by Dave Alexander,
Second.
second by Jeff Wardell. Any other comments on the minutes, warrants,
No.
discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is unanimous. Moving down the agenda, we are down to our citizen comments. Just a couple of comments on citizen comments is we'd like to limit your comment to 3 minutes. Also, this is the public hearing for the one item on the agenda tonight was held last week in planning meeting. And so typically on the advice of our legal counsel, Gary Crane, he indicated that typically we should not really discuss a lot in citizen comments, anything that's on tonight's agenda. Is that correct?
That's correct.
But anything else is fine for you to comment on. So, and also this is not a public hearing. This is not even an open dialogue. We welcome your comments. We listen to them. We take them into consideration, but typically we don't really answer any questions when we're in this public comment portion. So right now we are at the citizen comments. So if someone has a comment, we'd be happy and we'd love to hear your comment. We don't have the podium and the mic. So when we get that set up, we would ask you to go to the podium and just state your name. Or we could just pass the mic around. That'll work too. Yeah.
Roll up here.
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I
Yes.
appreciate it. I'd like to thank the city council with the opportunity. I'll try to be brief because I've got a lot of neighbors here that might like to say something. I did submit public comments, so I'll stick pretty much to that. It concerns the Wardell Brothers proposal to develop the lot at 690 North 700 East, which is next door to me. What Wardell Brothers proposes is to put in 14 residential units into one building. So it's like a 14-plex apartment building essentially that they want to put on that corner.
Could we get a name and address?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just for the
Scott
record. All
Jensen,
recorded.
696 North 700 East, Morgan, Utah.
Thank you.
There you go.
Sorry.
Right next door to what we're talking about. Anyway, I did submit some comments. I won't go through them in detail. They're more in the way of an appeal to the city council and the developer Wardell Brothers and the planning commission. I hope that they consider that. Anyway, I don't like that. I don't think their plan fits with the neighborhood. I understand that it does meet the recent zoning change for that lot. I hope the city will do what they can to work with the contractor and try to amend their proposal to be more in line with what the neighborhood wishes. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
Appreciate it. Any other comments?
I have a comment.
Okay, thank you.
Annette Mortensen, 630 North, 700 East. I'm concerned about this because I already am in a fishbowl now behind me because I have down at the corner from me, we've got the 11 apartment units and the 11 more going in. Well, a couple of weeks ago, there was an emergency up there. I don't know what the emergency was, but according to my neighbor who lives right below that, the fire truck couldn't even hardly get up there. They had the police, the ambulance, the fire truck. What do they consider that when they put these developments up there? I mean, because they couldn't move. They could barely get the truck up there. What are they going to do when they have something like that? I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about the fact that there's another set going in straight behind my house that will be up higher than my rooftop. The wall that's now behind my house, the retaining wall, is almost as tall as my rooftop. And the apartments will be straight behind that. And I believe that the last time, I have the paper and I should have brought it with me, the plan when it first started wasn't 33 units behind us. It was much less, and it just keeps getting more. And now you're going to add 14 more units, you should see the traffic. And nobody slows down there. Nobody slows down on that street. I do daycare on that street, and there are children that live on that street. And cars go ripping past there all the time. Nobody stops. I am now right smack in the middle. There's me, Sam McCurdy, and the rental home next to me. And there's the new road that goes up to the 22 units that are up behind Diane Giles. And there's Jenny Lane right here. And nobody stops at this stop sign here on Jenny Lane. And I could be pulling out of my driveway and all of a sudden somebody's right up on my butt of my car. Somebody is going to get hit, either in their car or a child is going to get hit because the traffic on that road is now exponential from when we moved there almost 30 years ago. It's awful. And I don't know what to do about that. I don't know if there needs to be more patrol, but I don't think that this is a good idea. That we've got the high density housing right behind us, and now we're going to have it right next to us. And I assumed that that this was a single family homes until they changed all the zoning. And I don't think it's right that they do that to us. So that's my comment.
Thank you for your comment.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Cherie Jensen, 696 North, 700 East. I've seen the plans from the Planning Commission, and their driveway that they have on those plans is pathetic. It's 3 feet. Their exit driveway onto 700 East is 3 feet from my driveway. And anybody coming out at any speed or teenagers and if you look closely at it, there is no turnaround for 14 units. And there is no space for overnight parking. There is no space for much of anything going on with that plan. And there's absolutely no reason that they can't take their exits onto Jenny Lane, which would be much safer for everybody. And I've heard that they are selling them, which is nice because what do you do with 14 units if you don't sell them? But the trouble is, even if they own it, they'll be turning around and making them rentals. And then we as neighbors, next door neighbors, we have no idea who's living next door, coming and going. And we just really have a problem with their plans. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Cherie. Appreciate it. Appreciate your comments.
My name's Thane Kilburn. I live at 721 North, 700 East. Like these ladies concerned, there's times I wonder just how much planning is involved before we approve this stuff. Like Annette says, the traffic is unreal. I propose that you do something about reducing the speed limit and then patrol it. Not to mention the truck traffic that is going through there now, it's unreal. And another question I have is how many more homes will our spring up there sustain? I think these are some matters that really need to be looked into before we go approving anything anymore. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Thane. Thank you. Any other comments? Well, we appreciate your comments. These do not fall on deaf ears, so we appreciate the comments you've made tonight. So thank you for doing that. Is there any other comments before we move on? Okay, oops, all right. Last second there. Okay.
What's that?
I said last second.
Kate Sargent. I live on 100 South, 707 East, 100 South. My question is, what's the long-term goal here in Morgan? And you guys have all lived here your whole life. I heard somebody on the city planning commission say it's trending to do this residential housing and the condo mix. but I live here, I want to live here where that, I don't have to worry about that. And it affects the neighborhoods around them like it is over here in North Morgan. And the traffic, I don't know, I don't get it. I mean, I know the state is pushing the high density housing, but why? It's not a requirement, is it? I mean, you don't have to do it. It's just, I heard it was just trendy, so that's why we're leaning towards it. I don't know. I don't agree with mixing the townhomes and the houses. I mean, I don't know. That's my comment.
Okay. Thanks, Kate. Appreciate that. And we appreciate all your comments. Thank you for coming. Yes.
And,
Linda Gale, 699 North 700 East in Morgan. My observation, because I grew up on that street, and I feel really sad that I didn't know what was going on when the mahogany thing was approved. But now we're living through it, and because of the tightness up there, there's neighbors against neighbors, there's concerns over parking, even squabbles over parking. And I'm like, as we look to the future, could we look to the past and really evaluate what we're living with now? Because, you know, developers come in and they do their thing and they don't stick around. And I would bet most developers would not want that in their backyard. And I realize it's not my property, but at the same time, we live here, you know, and we're the ones that will deal with it. It won't be the developer. It will be us in the city. And it really is a problem up there, because I go up there a lot, and I just would hope that you would consider down the road, not just making a developer happy because it fit the zone or whatever. So thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Thanks, Linda.
All right. Any other comments, citizen comments? Again, thank you for your comments.
Tony, I may
Appreciate
just,
it. Council
just
member.
make an addition. The city recently updated a general plan, and we'll probably be talking a little bit more about that tonight. But as time goes on, that is updated from time to time, and we're in the process. The Planning Commission talked about it. You could go back and hear what they had to say last meeting. But our city planner, Jake, is working on that, and we'll be presenting a new general plan that gives a little bit of we talk about where are we headed, where are we going, what do we want the city to look like in 20 years, in 10 years. My point, though, that I'd like to make is, and let me ask Gary, our city attorney, and Jake, our city planner, will there be an opportunity for a public hearing for public input in that general plan before it's adopted?
Yes.
Okay. To everybody here, pay attention to that. Look at, and the best thing you can do is go back and look at what those proposed changes are. The general plan isn't updated monthly or weekly, or it's, in fact, it had been something like 20 years before it had been updated before. I just read where in the newspaper here the last couple of days, Ogden City's general plan is being updated, and I think its last update was 1951. But so it doesn't happen very often, but pay attention to what's being proposed. And there is some changes on zoning. And secondly, if there's a concept or a thought that needs to be introduced or added, now is the ideal time to do it. I mean, sometimes we say, here's after the fact, and it's too late. The building's been built. But here's something that would say, what do we want our town to look like down the road? Here's an opportunity to chime in on that.
Can I chime again?
Sure.
Okay. You had my stuff before. The other thing is, as you're planning, I don't understand, because behind my house used to be a sledding hill. It was all a hill back there. And now as they have been building these townhomes behind me, and well, they're not quite behind me yet, but on the to kitty corner from me, they have been tearing down hills that were there and using that dirt and tamping it down. This is a big concern for me because I don't understand why you would take the natural hillside and tear it down and try to flatten it out. I don't understand construction, but I know there is no way that you could make that dirt behind me that you've built up now to be level as solid as that hill was. There is no way they can make that. And the first earthquake, those 11 townhomes are going to be in my backyard because you cannot tell me that you can recreate that hillside that I had there and that this dirt behind me is going to be as solid as that hillside was. And I would hope that you would take into consideration in your planning that you don't do that anymore. That seems to me to be a bit ridiculous because when we first moved there, I thought, oh, perhaps if they sold those lots behind us, you could put a couple of homes back there. But to tear down a hillside and try to make and then build it up to match the hillside to try to make it level ground behind me, that makes no sense to me. And it's a disaster waiting to happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, legit concern.
Go ahead, Thane.
With that, the 14 units are proposing to put in there next to Scott and Cherie Jensen's. They've installed 2 retention ponds behind that. They have changed all the drainage with all the development that's went on up there. I've lived over there for 50 years now, and I have seen flooding like you can't believe in North Morgan. I don't know if anyone has addressed that or not, but I don't think I would want to live in a unit with a retention pond won't hold even a tenth of the water that's going to come off of there in a bad spring. I think that needs to be looked at also. Thank you.
Thank you, Thane. We'll take one more comment. Yes. Go ahead.
Yes, Nick. I just wanted to add something. My wife, I don't think she knows, seen the other day.
Your wife does.
Your name, sir?
Nick Mortensen, 630 North, 700 East. Same place he lives. Anyway, they went back there and that retaining wall is actually bulging out. It's moving now. And they started pulling it back out again. I don't know what can be done, but she's got a really good point. You can't just take that dirt 25 feet deep and expect it to sit there and stay there. It's gonna settle, it's gonna move. So we've already had water and mud come right down into our backyard already. And so I don't know. I think this whole thing is just a moneymaker. It's all it is. Somebody's going for money. You know, they're just gonna go as cheap as they can and make the money and get out. So it's this high density stuff's getting to be a lot. I think it's getting to be more than the city could handle. So anyways, that's my thought.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
Just let me say one thing. I invite all of you, I appreciate everyone that's here tonight. I do. I actually like to see this. We seldom see this, by the way, okay? Very seldom. So I invite everyone to keep an eye on the Morgan City website and take a look at our upcoming meetings and take a look at our upcoming agendas, particularly those on the Planning Commission side, where a lot of these concerns that you've expressed tonight needs to be discussed. And they are the ones in the future that will hold the public hearings on these developments. City Council will really no longer have a public hearing. It'll all be done at the Planning Commission level. So please, we invite your involvement. If you see something coming up that you're not too thrilled about, come to the meeting and express, and let's hear your voices there. Also, speaking for not only myself, but all of us sitting up here on the City Council, I welcome phone calls. I don't get them often, but if you have a question that you want to ask, I think any one of us would be happy to spend some time and discuss something with you. So please give us a call. But I guess what I'm saying is we appreciate your comments and stay involved. Stay involved and look what's coming down the pike. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Yeah.
Sorry.
briefly.
I just want to say, you're asking us to comment, but you know what? I've been through several of these things from the time that they started building the car dealership down there. A lot of us have been to these meetings and nobody listens to us. So that's my comment.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on. We are going to move now to our active agenda. You're certainly welcome to stay and the remainder of our meeting. The first item on our active agenda, and if Ty were here, of course, I would hand this off to Ty, but as I mentioned, he is not here. It's a resolution authorizing the Fremont Solar PPA project transaction schedule under the Master Firm Power Supply Agreement with UAMPS and related matters, or resolution 25-25. Okay, so I spoke with Ty Bailey today. I spoke with Clark Crook, who is our power superintendent. What this is, it deals with this Morgan City's participation in the Fremont Solar Power Project that's going on down in Iron County that should go online sometime in 2027. We will have 200 kilowatt with a option of having 400 kilowatt generation from this solar power plant. It's not only solar, it's also battery. It has 4 hours of backup battery. And one of the things that Clark and I talked about today, he said solar's great, but he says when the sun's shining, he says we're just overrun with solar. We have more than enough, but the problem is trying to capture that solar power. And that's why these batteries are becoming so valuable, where you can store this solar power and dispense it a little bit later on. So this one does have battery backup with it. That's about, as I understand it, about 4 hours. It's supposed to come in at somewhere in the neighborhood of 35 cents per kilowatt. That's pretty reasonable. And it would be paid off with the rate structure in the electrical rate structure. There would be no upfront money we wouldn't have any upfront money into this project. As I mentioned, it would all be paid off with rates once it went into effect. We also counsel how, I understand through Clark, we have some off ramps down the road if we think this project is, fiscally not responsible, much like we did with the NuScale nuclear project. And just for reference, Clark told me, he said that 200 kWh, 200 kilowatts is about 1/4 of a megawatt. And he says that's just about what Ridley's uses in a month's time. So 400 kilowatt obviously is 1/2 a megawatt. So it's not a lot of generation, but it's there to try to fill in the gap left by the shutdown of a lot of our coal-fired power plants that we had generation in. So anyway, that is what this is about. I know that Dave, you spoke with Ty today as well on this subject. Do you have anything to add to this?
I had questions similarly, Tony, and you've answered a good share of them. Part of my concern was ownership. We have a percent interest, and maybe for the benefit of the audience here, I know most of us are familiar with our program, but we have just a very small percent interest in the association that provides us power, called Utah Association of Municipal Power. And they have contracted with the Fremont Solar Project to commit to making payments to pay for the project. The concern I had was, do we own any of the project? And the answer to that is no. Our only commitment, and this I felt good with or comfortable with, our only commitment is that stream of revenue that says we will buy if they produce the power. The other part that worked for me was if they don't produce the power, that we don't have to pay for it. Yeah, we do agree to a price, and some of the thought there is that as prices go up, ours is set. That's not uncommon in this type of a transaction. Some of my concern was just solar power or solar panels. Of course, they can become obsolete in 25 years, or they can even wear out. But that's not our problem because we don't own them. The other concern I would have is just the technology of the batteries now. I mean, it's come a long ways in just the last little while, the last few years, but nonetheless, a lithium battery, which I assuming that's what powers these, will not last 25 years. It has a life cycle of somewhere between 2,500 and 9,000 cycles. So if you were doing it every day, if you were cycling that every day for for a year, there's 365 cycles. So you can see it's not going to last for 25 years. But again, not our concern. And I think the capital that goes into the project that's the responsibility of the owner probably takes that into consideration, but we don't have to worry about it. So the other, I think, part that's important to note is our interest is only 0.2%. That's not even a half of a 1% in the entire project. So it's a very small amount. It could be more if we wanted it, but Ty mentioned to me that we have other projects that we're looking at that will, which is probably smart because we're not putting all of our eggs into one basket that we'll consider down the road. So I didn't feel too bad about it.
Yeah, so in the past, we've had quite a lot of generation from Morgan City and some of our coal-fired power plants. As you know, they've shut down many of our coal-fired power plants, or are going to. And so we are constantly looking for sources of electricity to fill that gap that was left by these coal-fired power plants being shut down. And we realize that solar is not necessarily a great base load for our electrical system, but as I said, the batteries help out because they'll store the solar power for about 4 hours. And so, as you know, solar, if the sun's not shining, it's not too great, but according to both Ty and Clark, when the sun's shining, we're just about overrun with solar power. So anyway.
So I think the concept there too is, Ty seemed to confirm that 4 hours is enough time to get us through the evening. After that, we're all asleep and the demand goes way down. So
You're in bed.
it does bridge that gap a little bit. In the old days, it came out with solar and you'd have it during the day, and as soon as the sun went down, it was over. But here's an opportunity now to continue for a few hours into the evening.
So the final thing I asked Clark Crook, again, who was our power superintendent, I asked him, so does this project have your blessing? And he said, yes, absolutely. So Clark is, Clark's pretty sharp on these things. So, and you're right, Dave, the technology is evolving all the time. So, yeah. But for now, this is what we have an opportunity to participate in. So is there any other questions from the council? That
My question was if Clark was on board.
he absolutely was on board with it. So, right. Any other comments?
Level out our peak usage.
Yeah. And we're still looking for other sources.
Yeah, there's
all the time. So,
more coming online.
Let's maybe just ask Steve, you mentioned your service was going to be intermittent. You felt, you have any other comments to add? Sounds like that's the intermittent part.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there we
There
go.
we got you.
We go.
I think Clark's way sharp. I think Clark represents our city in a positive way. He's not. He's certainly not trying to overspend. But to me, power has been a learning curve since I've been a mayor. I just thought I'd flip the switch and it was all handled somehow. But it blows me away. Just like some of the projects we've had that we've been involved with, and they've gone to bunk, and like Tony's mentioned. So I think it's a good coverage myself.
yeah. Thank you, Mayor. It is a complicated business. There's no doubt about it. So if there's no other discussion, I'm prepared to take a motion.
Mayor, I'll make or Tony, sorry.
Yeah. be
Mayor,
careful
just
there.
stop talking.
Pro
Yeah.
tem.
Mayor Pro Temp.
Hope you'll
Tony.
do.
Resolution, We've approved resolution 2525, a resolution authorizing the Fremont Solar PPA project transaction schedule under the master firm power supply agreement with Utah Associated Municipal Power Systems and related matters.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Motion by Jeffrey, second by Dave. Any other discussion from the council?
No.
If not, we'll do a roll call vote on this. Dave,
Aye.
Jeffrey? Aye. Jeff?
Aye.
Jeff and Jeffrey, okay. Point of order, do I vote?
You vote.
Oh, aye. That is unanimous, Janet. Okay, moving on. Next item. It's a resolution adopting and approving a land purchase agreement between Morgan City Corporation and the Utah Department of Transportation for the purchase of property located approximately 450 East, 426 North, Morgan, Utah Resolution 2526. Is everyone familiar where this piece of property is?
We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
Okay, so just a couple of items. I talked with Ty about this today as well. As if you've read through your packet, you would probably already picked up some of these points. The original appraisal on this piece of property was $720,000. Ty went to bat and pointed out a few things, that there's no water there, landlocked. Anyway, as they completed another appraisal, it dropped it to $440,000. $400,000 the county approved to give the city toward this purchase from the Corridor
Preservation Fund.
Corridor Preservation Fund. So that would only leave about 40,000 short plus the title fees on this. Also the purchase agreement, just for your information, if you looked at the packet, you've noticed that the purchase agreement is actually already been signed by Ty. He did that because we didn't meet
Last
2 weeks ago, and he felt it was expedient that he did this. So anyway, any other discussion on this? Any other comments on this agenda?
Maybe just with constituents here that probably don't know, it's between the UDOT sheds, it's UDOT property that goes out to the railroad tracks between UDOT where their current snowplow sheds are. They're willing to sell off that back half to continue 400 north. Let me bring up my Google Earth. Whatever street that is, it runs in front of the vet clinic. Out past the storage units, will connect into the Clark Field at some point to continue that road, and gives us the possibility for future city possibilities out there as well. So that's the piece of property that we're looking at. There you go.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Yeah, it's that little piece right there. Yeah. Yep, right where the pointer is. That's it. So it's, my HUD on X says it's 1.67 acres, something to that effect.
Right there.
Is that what it is? Yeah. So my HUD on X is
1.64.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments or discussions on this agenda item? Dave, do you have anything to add? Or?
Nope, I don't.
Jeffrey? Nope.
No.
Good. If there is no other discussion on this, I am prepared to take a motion on this agenda item.
Tony, I'd move to approve resolution 25-26, a resolution adopting, approving a land purchase agreement between Morgan City Corporation, Utah Department of Transportation for the purchase of property located approximately 450 East, 426 North in Morgan, Utah.
Second that.
Motion by Dave Alexander, second by Jeff Wardell. Do we have any other discussion on this? Maybe just FYI, we mentioned this funding was coming from a Corridor Preservation Fund. And the Corridor Preservation Fund is that $10 fee that you pay every time you have your car registered. So that's where the money for the Corridor Preservation Fund comes from. So, and that's where most of this funding
Received that from the state.
That's where most of this funding is coming, and it comes through COG, yeah, so. Yeah. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, again, another roll call vote. Dave?
Aye.
Jeff? Aye. Jeffrey?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on, okay. This is a review action, an ordinance amending the zoning designation of parcels of property containing a total of approximately 0.45 acres located at approximately 60 west, 100 south by changing the zoning designation thereof from the existing R18 to RM15, providing for the amendment to the zoning map, providing for the repealer, providing for the severability, and providing for effective date. It's actually ordinance 25-15. Comments, discussion on this? Okay,
Would it make sense to listen to Jake's report?
Yeah, lost Jake.
Okay.
For a moment. So this was brought before the planning commission last Tuesday night. The public hearing was held on this piece of property last Tuesday night as well. And it has come to us at the city council with actually from the planning commission with a vote not to approve this zoning change. So Jake, could you fill us in on this, please?
Yes, good evening, council. Thank you for your time. I'll just do a quick screen share here and then I can pull up the report. It's always nice to take a look at what we're talking about. This is from the staff report, which you received. All of this is the same as the planning commission received, except for the text in blue that was added after the planning commission meeting. The current zone is R18. Proposed or requested by the applicant is R115, or excuse me, RM15. It's 0.45 acres. The property is currently vacant or a field or pasture, you might say. Utilities are available in the area. The property is not adjacent or near any existing RM15 zone. The property has no townhomes adjacent to it currently. If the property were developed as an RM15, it could include townhomes. My math was up to 5. The applicant said that he would build four townhomes, so maybe consider it in the 4 to 5 range. If the property were developed, then it would need a sidewalk and curb and gutter and some of the other improvements, just like any other building on that. The general plan does identify the property as medium density residential, which does allow attached homes, including townhomes. However, it's not automatic. General plan is advisory. There's items such as timing, what's happening in the area also. So there's definitely a judgment call, and this is a legislative action. So the city council has the right to choose, make a vote as you see fit. As mentioned, the planning commission held a public hearing. One neighbor commented against it. One resident commented about the math as the applicant discussed in terms of looking at the gross density per acre. The planning commission, as you mentioned, made a recommendation of denial. At this time, staff does not recommend a rezone for items mentioned. Here's a look at the map, kind of see what's in the neighborhood, proposed rezone, and then existing single family surrounding it. There's the site again.
You're not up.
Sorry. I thought that was up there.
I'm looking at my computer, not this.
Okay, let's try.
I'm following you.
sharing. It did earlier because I was showing that map. Let's try, we'll just try this. Huh. Says you are. Yeah.
Are we allowed to ask questions in here
No.
about what's going on?
The comment period's over.
Expired.
Oh, comment. So we aren't allowed to voice our opinion. no?
It's,
Now we're in open discussion of you.
Jake, it's showing up on my screen.
You're seeing it. Oh. Interesting.
so,
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes,
maybe just explain. So
please, Gary.
this is a legislative decision on a rezone. So it comes to the council from the planning commission. Planning commission is the advisory body for legislative decisions in the city. And so they look at it and they do their first review. They look at it for a number of things. They look at the surrounding uses, they look at access, they look at timing, they look at the general plan, and they look at all those things, and then they have a hearing at that level, at the zone change or at the planning commission level. And that hearing, in that hearing, you're allowed to express whatever thoughts you need to. The state law requires one hearing for rezones or for zoning decisions. And Morgan has selected to have that at the planning commission level because those are kind of our planning experts. They then make a recommendation to the council. And then the council looks at the recommendations of the planning commission. And since it's a legislative decision, the standard that they apply is whatever recommendation has to be rationally based, and whatever decision they make has to be rationally based on some zoning reason, whether it be timing, whether it be access, the things that I just mentioned, agreement with the general plan, all of those things are considered by the council. They are required to have a public meeting on the request to change the ordinance or to change the designation, zoning designation. So the ordinance that the planning commission was considering, which would be to approve it, comes up to the council. And the council can either say, we agree with the planning commission, we don't think it should be approved in this case. Or if the planning commission made a positive recommendation, it would come to the city council with that positive recommendation. Whether or not the city council hears additional comments or decides to hear additional comments is entirely up to them, but the hearing has already taken place on the application. And there's no requirement that the city council have a hearing on this particular issue, but there is, an opportunity if the city council wishes to listen to public comment on it or comment from the applicant. And so I hope that's a little bit clear. I'm sorry, that's kind of the way the state law requires the city to do it. I shouldn't apologize because they're very intelligent up there and they always make the right decision, right? But I've worked up there for about 40 years and I know that's not always the case. Sometimes local government can make better decisions. But anyway, so that's the process that we're involved with. It's a zone change. It's a legislative act and it's before the council. They have a public meeting. And if they decide to accept comment, they can. If they decide not to, they've already had the hearing and they don't have to. And so.
Gary mentioned the action that the council can take tonight.
So the council can follow the planning commission's recommendations and deny the application. If the application is denied, it can't come back for a year as an identical application. An applicant can't get it denied and then come back the next meeting. It can be amended so that we've had one instance in Morgan where they came applying for an R110 zone. And when it got to the council, the planning commission didn't agree with an R110. You might remember that, the Rupp subdivision. came to the council and the council looked at it and said, you know what? We wouldn't be willing to do an R110, but we would be willing to do an R112, which is a 12,000 square foot lots rather than 10. And so the council does have that ability to be able to amend the ordinance and change what the zoning designation should be, or they can outright approve it the way the applicant has actually applied. And they've got those three alternatives.
Thank you.
Gary, I have a question too.
Should we let Jake finish?
This is just
Okay.
oh, you done?
Well,
Okay, find out.
I've covered most of it. I was just going to run through some of the maps. I will mention, there it is on the general plan. The general plan, as is written, has us zooming out to look at the density of an area, 3 to 5 acres gross. Gross meaning you look at roadways in the area, also looking at maybe churches, business, any of that. You're looking at all the area. On a larger property, it works well, 20, 30, 40 acres, but on a half acre, it doesn't quite work well. In our current draft general plan that the Planning Commission was looking at last week, we're removing that item of it and getting more specific on building types as proposed per the general plan. So you should just know that as a reference point.
So Gary, my question, I guess, is a bit of a point of order. So when we're ready to move on this tonight, when we make a motion, the motion would be actually on this ordinance 25-15, correct?
That's correct.
So the motion would be would be made to either move it up or down. If it goes down, then this ordinance would just goes away.
It goes away. That's correct. And my request always is that when you make a decision, there's a little thing that happens right after all of you are ready to make a motion. A motion's been made and seconded, where you have an opportunity to give comment on the motion. And would be really good that whatever direction you decide, if you could put in your reasons, whoever made the motion or any council person put in their reasons for the way they were going to vote. That really helps establish a record for whatever your decision is.
Does it ever happen where there's no motion at all and then it dies because of no motion?
Yes,
And that's
exactly what happens. Yeah.
Does there have to be a motion?
There doesn't have to be a motion.
I mean, I know it can die for a lack of second, but there doesn't even have to be a motion, right?
Doesn't even have to be a motion. It would die.
Yeah, so it would have the same effect as if there was a motion to deny.
That's correct.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah. That's a good
Okay,
question.
so
Those are good questions.
just for record, I was not at planning meeting last Tuesday night, but I did go in this morning and listen to watch the YouTube video of the planning meeting. So I was curious to see some of the comments that were made by the planning commission, and a couple of comments that were made by the citizens. The motion was made not to give this a negative approval to the city council. It was seconded, and it was a unanimous decision on behalf of the planning commission. So I wanted to get kind of up to speed on it, so I took some time and watched the video. So with that said, Corey, would you like to speak for a moment? We'll give you a moment.
I guess a lot of my comments are going to deal with, first, let's do the math on the 3 to 5 units as per the general plan.
Corey, name.
Corey Adams, live in Morgan. I grew up in Morgan along with Cade and the other guys here. Love Morgan, love what it's about. And I love that we have property rights. I love that we have public meetings. I think it's a good thing. But following the general plan, if I read the general plan packet, it was adopted by the city on March 12th, 2024. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So following the general plan, we submitted our application using the general plan as the guidebook, right? I'm not asking for anything that's outside of what the general plan is. The general plan is an open vision of what you guys, or what we think as a community, we want our community to be in the next few years, right? So I'm proposing this project to follow the general plan. If we pull up, Jake, can you pull up the current zoning map?
Yep.
Right there. If you go over to where the subject property is there and kind of zoom out, if you will, once we get to it. Right there. Oh,
Right here.
yeah, now if we can zoom in a little bit. So the 3 to 5 acres per acre, which from my understanding is aggregate. So if I take the 2 blocks, so 100 west, 200 west, and I take the 2 blocks opposite of the church, I think some in our last meeting were concerned that I took the church in the calculation of this. I did not. So if you take the other blocks to the east, 100 east and 200 east, Jake, can you pull that down a little bit? Because that actually shows some RN15 property on Young Street, right there. The green highlighted area, there's actually 12 total units there. Carey Priest, or the Priest LLC, has 4, and then Walker Riverbend LLC has 8 right off of Young Street. So if I take those 2 blocks into consideration, that's 15 acres. And there is, on that block of land, there is 38 housing units. So 38 over 15, you have 2.5 housing units. That's still below the general plan of 3 to 5 housing units per acre. If I take the 2 blocks west of the subject property, those 2 blocks, same acreage, comes up to be 15 acres, and there's 27 housing units on those 2 acres. If you add the 4 units that we're proposing, that comes up to little over 2 units, housing units per acre. So again, I'm following what the general plan is we're using the general plan as our guidebook, rule book, if you will, and we're playing, I don't know, for those who like sports, we're playing the sports game. We're playing on a 100-yard field. We use the general plan as our guidebook, as our rule book. I'm submitting that based on the 100-yard field. We're either going to permit it or we're not going to permit it. And to me, if it's not permitted, it falls within the general plan, then our general plan is a paperweight because we're not using it. If we want to update it and do it going forward, I agree with that. Let's just play by the rule book. Let's not change the field goal there at the last minute because somebody submits something that fits within the general plan. I think as this general plan was adopted, there's some goals in there, and I just want to read a couple of those goals. If you look on page 4, it says municipalities in Utah are required by law, by Utah Land Use Development and Management Act, to prepare and adopt a comprehensive long-range general plan that addresses the present and the future needs and future growth in the area. I think that our general plan does do that. There's areas where you're allowing for moderate income housing to be developed, to be achieved. It's interesting, during the Planning Commission meeting, I asked, what is a moderate income level for the city of Morgan? And I think it was one of the commissioners said, well, that's interpretation. Well, it's actually listed in your general plan as $78,000 a year. $78,000 a year is very hard to be able to afford a home that's in Morgan right now. If you look at the homes that are listed on the MLS right now, the average single-family home is selling for $702,000 a year, or $702,000. To be able to afford that, that's a $3,800 a month mortgage. We have to make substantially more than $78,000 to do that. If you go to page number 4 still, it says state requires 3 elements to a general plan: land use, transportation, circulation, moderate income housing, in addition to communicating targeted strategies to facilitate reasonable opportunity for the development of moderate income housing. The general plan serves as we've talked about, an advisory document for land use decisions indicating the general location and the proposed extent of land uses. Page 42 also continues to state a goal. Goal number 4 of the general plan is to balance the desire for low taxes with the need for affordable housing and services and infrastructure. If you look at item B under the first policy, it says follow recommendations in the general plan to ensure existing and future housing services and infrastructures are met. Promote zoning policies that allow for smaller lots. Goal 5 is to promote implementation of land use concept contained in the land use element of the general plan. The first policy under that goal is to adopt Morgan City General Plan of 2024, which has been adopted. Item number C is ensure zoning and land use decisions are consistent with the future land use map and are associated with the goals and strategies. Like I said, I bring this property before the city council and I meet those requirements of the general plan. And again, if we follow the general plan, it's either permitted or it's not. We're either gonna follow the rule book or we're gonna toss the rule book out, we're gonna move the goalpost. Regardless, that's a decision the council has to make. And I appreciate you allowing me to have some time to voice my project and the concerns we have. Thank you. You guys have any questions for me?
Any questions, Corey?
No, I don't. I don't think I do.
Okay, thank you, Corey.
Thanks.
Okay, council. Comments, discussion. I have one I want to ask right now. Is the aggregate concept, is it a 2-block area or just one lot? I mean, this area averaging, be honest with you, I don't care much for it, but anyway, so what does it include?
Yeah, there's not a specific area to look at, and I'll admit that's a deficiency of the general plan. It was, intended more for looking at bigger areas. When the consultants Landmark put that together, but as mentioned, it's a challenge. But applicant does have a point in terms of looking at this area. Certainly, it's not very high in terms of the density that's existing. But, as I mentioned, a general plan is advisory. You look at the situation, you look at where the city is, you look at the area, and then it's up to Planning Commission for a recommendation, City Council decision.
So I live on a street that's got several big lots on it, single-family residences, several big lots, okay? That they're half-acre lots. There's a vacant lot down the street. Okay, so they can take a look at that and they can zone that medium density and they can put whatever they want to put in there by essentially poaching property of mine and my neighbors to get to that acreage average. Does that make sense? Because that's what we're not talking about this specific lot right here. What Corey's proposing is that he can gather in this acreage averaging or whatever you want to call it in order to make this work. Am I missing something here?
Yes, I wouldn't use the word poaching though.
Well, it's my property. I don't
This
know.
time of the year.
It is.
But what we're saying is that my property is being
Nice.
used to help somebody else put in a medium density unit in that neighborhood.
Yes, and instead of using another property, I'd view it as zooming out to look at, okay, what's happening in the general area of this. So a little bit more zoom out, big picture planning.
Can I make a comment just very briefly?
Sure.
As a matter of process. So the legislature, up at the legislature, the developers for years have been trying to mandate the general plans in cities where exactly the same thing that Corey's talking about would happen in every single case. That is, when a person comes in, if the general plan allows it, you have to put it there, period. Cities have fought that because we want our general plans to be dynamic. We want city councils to be able to look at an area and say, this is the plan for the area. And that's the reason Jake doesn't have a minimum, two blocks that way or 2 blocks that way or whatever, is to give you the flexibility to take a look at surrounding uses, at access, transportation issues, those things that are involved in making a good zoning decision, even things like landslides, the geotechnical issues, those types of things all are relevant to your zoning decisions. And timing is a big one. Is now the time to rezone this parcel of property a higher density? Is everything else changing the surrounding area such that it demands that you change it too? And so that's the type of thing that a general plan is. It's not a mandate. Developers would love for it to be a mandate, But I can tell you what cities are gonna do if you make it a mandate. They're gonna move one step the other direction, step back and make a potential general plan is what they're gonna do. Because you have to have that flexibility to plan as city councils. They can't take it away from you, you know, because otherwise, you know, you'd be going whoops all the time. You know, with things that you didn't anticipate would be come into those areas, being placed in those areas. You don't have a crystal ball. You can't see everything that is going to happen on every lot in every part of your city. And so you have to be able to have the flexibility to decide. So in defense of the Planning Commission, that's a lot of what they looked at. Yes, they have a general plan that says this, but it's not mandatory. They looked at timing, they looked at the issues of surrounding uses. They looked at access and transportation. They looked at all those things. I wasn't there, so Jake will have to support this, but I do understand that they looked at all those things and came up with their recommendation to you. And so I'm just kind of telling you that what Corey says is correct. We do try to abide by our general plan, but it's not mandated because you have to have the flexibility to make logical decisions essentially. So
Gary, if I could add, just keep in mind that, the general plan is broad. And then we move into zoning, we get more specific, and then construction documents are very specific. And that system seems to work, that the general plan allows for flexibility. Zoning, a little bit of flexibility on uses and design. And of course, when it's time to build, that's when we get specific.
So you say we're taking, the planning commission is taking a look at making some revisions to this?
Yeah, yes, I mean, we already had the downtown, plan update in process. And so we were already updating the general plan.
Parks and trails.
Parks and trails, downtown plan, all of that was already in the works. And we were updating the future land use anyway, and that had to deal with State Street area, Commercial Street area, the whole downtown area. And so it was natural anyways to make some tweaks.
Couple of new zoning designations too, Jake, it seemed.
A new future land use
Okay.
designation, but I do anticipate some new zoning designations next year as we roll some things out. And think about zoning as a tool, and right now I think our toolbox needs to be retooled a little bit in terms of what we have available.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Gary. Council.
I'd have a few comments, Tony, and maybe a little bit of, I hope maybe it could be clarification on general plan and zoning. Corey, you're a good builder. You've done projects in the city and you've done them well, and you do what you say you're going to do. We know your parents. We know your mom's going to make you do that, so you don't have a choice. But the city appreciates a builder, a good builder, doing what they say they're going to do and investing their capital in the city. It's the builder that's putting his money at risk, and he needs to be rewarded for that for sure. Right now, there's a strong market for affordable housing. There's a strong market for just and oftentimes multi-family housing can be affordable. It doesn't need to be, but the potential's there that it could be. And as we talk about multifamily housing in Morgan, much of it is affordable. I have a grandson that was living with me, him and his wife, and 2 children, and they were living on our basement, and the only way he could afford housing was to move into one of the townhomes in North Morgan. I love to have him in Morgan, so there is a place for affordable housing and multifamily housing. Similarly, the state is putting tremendous pressure because of the housing shortage in the state of Utah. Estimated, I've heard anywhere from 30 to 50,000 units, 30,000 now and 50,000. You probably have.
It's 45,000 is the current number.
Well, there we go. That probably changed last week, right? But nonetheless, a terrible shortage that says we need to provide homes, and they put tremendous pressure on cities. We've passed some ordinances just recently that are in line with helping in the state's vision of what are you doing, Mr. City, to help alleviate those problems. I mean, you think about it, it's all the cities and municipalities that come together to make up the state. So right now, and I can appreciate a builder looking at where a market is. The builder isn't going to build multi-family housing if you can't sell them. They're not going to build retail if you can't sell it. So right now, multifamily is builders can build and sell, and that's where the market is. So I think that's important that we understand where a market's going. And I would expect a property owner to sell their property for the highest and best price that they can. And I would expect a builder, a developer, to build and make the most profit that they can. We heard Gary mention just the word timing here, and I'd like to talk just a little bit about that. I listened in on the planning meeting there that Ray was part of, and gave me an opportunity to think a little bit about that timing issue. General plan is just like has been said earlier. It's in general, what do we want our city to look like 10, 20 years from now? And that's important because think about it, if we didn't have a general plan, we could have a industrial complex with a smokestack right next to a single family residence or a subdivision or a Walmart or whatever. So a general plan is there to give us some direction. But again, it's general by nature, like Gary mentioned. I think if we say, okay, here's a general plan, what's your specific plan? Well, our specific plan is our zoning designations that they are right now. That's where we are specifically. Where do we want to be 10 years from now? Where do we want to be 20 years from now? And so I'd like to use an example, and it's a little bit hypothetical, but I'd hope it might help explain the timing concept or the timing issue that we talk about, and that Gary has mentioned. Let's suppose, just for discussion, that the property that we're looking at, that Corey owns the piece there, the half acre, is in a residential setting. And let's suppose not from Corey, but let's suppose, and this doesn't, I think that's a good one to look at because it fits the kind of the scenario that I'm proposing here. But so we've got a piece of property, it's all residential. A person comes in, an applicant comes in and says, I would like to change that piece of property, maybe not necessarily in the middle of it, but surrounded by residential properties. I would like to change that to retail. Oh, okay, well, what are your plans? Well, I'd like to put a 7-Eleven in there. Well, if we look at this piece of property right now surrounded by residential properties, does that make sense? Well, no, it doesn't. That's why we have land use rules and concepts that say we want properties to be compatible. We want them to be comfortable and compatible with one another. Well, okay, it doesn't make sense today. We can then say for the timing, as Gary suggested, it doesn't make sense. But retail, just a block away, we have retail on State Street. This is a block and then a little bit down. Suppose 10 years from now, there's 3 homes on the east side of the street between Young and 100 South. Suppose those are purchased by a developer and turned into retail and or commercial, maybe office space. And now guess what? Right across the street, there's a nice little white home there that'd be a lovely place because of the traffic that goes up and down State Street. That'd be a lovely place to put a corner market of some sort. Let's turn that into retail. You can see what's happening as the time goes on, the zoning changes. And again, a block away, I can picture in 10 years or 20 years that zoning could, look at what happens down below, Riverdale, whatever. just tremendous amounts of property change in quick order. Here, we've got a block and a half. 10 years from now, let's say that zoning has changed to where retail is now next door to this piece of property that 10 years earlier, we said the timing isn't right. Is the timing right now? Yeah, it may be. We've got bordering properties that are retail or commercial. It may make sense to turn that into commercial and give the builder, the developer, a bigger piece of property to work with or whatever his plans are to deal with. So summing all that up, and again, I hope that example, it helps me understand timing issue of zoning and a little bit about a concept of a general plan. But summing all of that up, for me, it would be similarly hard to change the zoning from what it is now to something different because it's not surrounded by similar zoning. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Dave. Jeff, have any comments?
For me, it's probably timing, but more so is that we have the planning department who makes these decisions because they are the ones that are more in tune with the zoning and everything and what they want to do there. So this time for me, that's about all I got to say.
Jeffrey?
You know, I've read through, looked at this, location, timing. I'm not ready for us to move into the middle of town and make changes at this time, from single residency into multifamily here in the heart and center of our city. That's not to say around the church, around Young Street, State Street in the very near future. I hope a distant future, but that could all change at the rate things are going.
And that adds another point too, Jeff. The general plan calls for medium density as it goes out from the center of
From the
town.
center of the city.
And that's a concept that Jake will tell us is a concept for general plans that may or may not be specific to Morgan, but yet it's one that as we get closer to the center of town, the higher the density gets in residential living. When I think our plan right now is kind of respecting that or looking at that, that again, doesn't mean to say it'll be residential, maybe it's retail, but all of a sudden there could be multifamily down State Street, turning down 100 South, moving down that way, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. And guess what? That would be right in line with the general plan.
But yeah, I'm not ready to make that and speed that process up at this time for the timing side.
Well, and I guess my thought is a little bit encapsulated in what all of you have said. You know, it's not a good fit. I feel similar about that. I think timing is definitely an issue as well. And Jeff, to your point, you know, we are in the midst of making some changes in the general plan right now. So my feeling is we just kind of step back from this and take a breath before we do anything as far as changing this zone. So that's where I stand on this.
I'd like to hear what Steve has to say.
Sorry, Mayor, I keep forgetting about you.
He's still awake.
I'm awake and loving it. You guys are doing great. I sort of have some mixed feelings. I live on the north side of the city, and it's got bombarded with housing. There's developing of all sorts going on over there, but the single family homes that are being built are not sitting very long before they're sold. One thing that I get upset about the state is they take an average of the state, and they might include a little town like Morgan and Colville, other Huntsville, little areas and they they act like we're on the west side of the Wasatch Front. When, if you talk to most residents, which they do talk to me a lot, I try to listen to them, but that isn't their desire to have this turn into a stack housing. I recognize that there's parts and places that this fits, but not necessarily in the center of a neighborhood at this time. So that's my two bits. And I think that what we need to really look at is the situation we have in Mahogany is not good. As far as my wife mentioned, she's up there all the time in a church calling that it's pretty hard to be the in-between, right? Between neighbors, but the safety of the thing is just what Annette mentioned, not even be able to get emergency services up to it. And if we had something like a fire in Mahogany, it would be scary. Sometimes they can't get a garbage truck through. So my thought is we take a step back and we work on our general plan and we don't trip again. So I'm coming to you with a negative vibe that we move on with this.
Thank you, Mayor.
That we don't move on with this. Let me rephrase that.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, council, if I could mention one thing, there are other tools. Obviously, it was mentioned the need for housing in the state and local. We do have the detached accessory dwelling unit. That's an option. We also do have flag lots if it'll work. That's an option. And all of those are available in the zoning code. In internal accessory dwelling. So we do have a lot of kind of micro planning tools that allow that, and that's available to all.
Great point, by the way.
And there's a good example right there too. I remember first hearing about ADUs and the city does have an ADU ordinance, accessory dwelling unit ordinance. And I remember feeling the pressure from the state that if I understand it, if we didn't come up with a concept that would fit our community, the state would help us out with it. And that seemed a little heavy-handed to me, but that's our state legislatures and something to look at on the next election there too. So that ordinance is in place though, and it does allow either an additional living unit, either attached or detached.
With some qualifications, of course.
That's part of what Morgan said, is we want to be able to make it so it fits our community.
With some qualifications.
Yeah.
Council? If not, I'm prepared to take a motion. Is there a motion?
I don't have one.
Dice for lack of motion? Okay. So, ordinance 25-15 dies for lack of motion. Which means the applicant here cannot bring this back for 1 year, correct? As far as this particular zone is concerned, is that how
Well, the fact that you didn't deny it,
that changes it then,
that
huh?
changes it. If you deny it, he can't bring it back for a year, but if you just don't do anything on it, it hasn't had any action.
Remains
on it.
unchanged.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he can,
fair enough.
Okay,
could bring it back again if he wanted, but it,
okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, moving on. We are now down to D or E, depending on how you look at it. This is the final acceptance of Quail Hollow subdivision phase 2. Gary, could you just briefly talk to us about a final acceptance?
Sure. Yes, developer, when he comes in to develop, puts up a bond for the improvements that he can't complete, maybe because of winter coming on or because he wants to proceed forward with the recording before he's actually finished the improvements. And then he's got a year to complete them. And once he's completed them, then he receives conditional approval, maybe with some things that he needs to complete. And at the completion of all the improvements, he comes back to you and says, would you please release my bond? And the city council actually is required under our ordinance to release the bond. You're the body that would release the bond. This is one of the few administrative decisions that the city council makes.
So Gary, I see the letter from the engineer from Jones and Associates suggesting that all remaining escrow funds can be released at this time. So is there any action on the part of the council that we need to take right now?
No, you just approve the release is what you would do. Yes, so there is a motion to approve the release. Sorry.
You said discussion. I didn't see action.
Sorry about that.
Discussion item, final acceptance of Quail Hollow subdivision.
Okay.
Yeah.
If there's no other,
Can we make a motion then, Gary, on?
Yeah.
We can make a motion. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Because it's just a letter that you're just saying we agree with the letter. So.
yes, I did, Tony. I would, considering the review of Jones and Associates, our consulting engineers, and their recommendation that we release all remaining escrow funds at this time, would move that we do so.
I'll second that, Tony.
Second by Jeffrey. Do we have any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is unanimous. Last item on our agenda is the fraud risk assessment. This is this fraud risk assessment is something that is done annually every year. It's filled out by staff here in the city. It's in our packet. I don't know if anyone's had an opportunity to peruse it or take a look at it, but do you have any comments or questions on this, on the fraud risk assessment?
Janet, any additional information on that one?
Yeah.
I mean, anything you care to add? Okay.
As I said, it's something we do every year, so it's annual.
every year.
Annual, so. Do we need to accept this by motion as well, Gary, this fraud?
Just
Or is it just general information?
No, it's just. Pardon me? No, you. Yeah.
I mean, this
You don't need to make any
information.
395.
Any discussion or comments on it?
I just noticed there were number 3 and 4 were two items that were no, but I think it'd probably fall to tie to.
It's.
That's a concern or not.
Those two of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same just because of our small size. Yeah, I don't feel bad about it.
Well, and on the scoring one, our formal audit committee, is that, I guess they're looking for an internal audit committee? Because we get audited by our external all the time, you know, when it says we don't get that 20 points as you look at our overall score. I assume that's what that is indicating. We don't have an internal formal audit committee or a fraud hotline.
We do not have.
Is where we missed our points to get a better score, but no, I think it looks really good. Thank you, Janet.
Yeah, I think that's a typical report from what we've seen.
From what we've seen for our community, yeah,
I think scope and size are important here.
absolutely.
Yeah, if you were a Salt Lake city, it'd be a different story.
Mhm.
Okay, gentlemen, then city council, do we have any reports or business from the city council?
mean, most of what we discussed tonight, the ordinance as well as the general plan review is what was covered there last Tuesday. Any more to add, Ray, on the planning commission? Yeah.
We've got to get you recorded.
Name, you know. Many years. I don't know who you are.
Thanks, Mayor.
As Jake kind of mentioned, there's been some updates and revisions on the trails plan and downtown plan. So those need to be looked at and incorporated in the general plan. Also, while we're doing that process, we're looking at land use. We're looking at this this medium density and high density. We're looking at how to, if we should change the wording on that as well.
Great.
There is a draft copy out. You're welcome to get that draft copy and look at it. We'll still be going through that draft copy in our next meeting.
Jake's bringing a draft, is that right? Next
It's a
meeting?
draft copy now.
And my guess is you may talk about that for a couple of meetings before we.
I would guess. I
Yeah,
don't think
before
we'll
it
pass the
comes
first
Yeah.
time. Well, I'll go through it like I do. You know what that is.
Make sure you don't miss a meeting, Ray.
Let Ray read it.
Thank you, Ray. Appreciate it.
Tony, Monday at the COG meeting, I'm assuming with what went on with the UDOT, Ty was going last week to the county council to make sure that funding from corridor preservation got approved. I'm assuming it must have. Did you hear from Ty? Did the county
Yes,
vote
yes, I talked to Ty.
now that we had hard fast
Says the
numbers?
Ty says the county has approved 400,000.
The county did approve that. Okay. I know from COG, we recommended it and he was going to go to the county
Just
meeting this last week.
Today, when I talked to him, he
Okay.
had approved it. So,
Perfect.
yeah.
I didn't, it looked like that happened, but I wanted to, okay, I did not check with Ty.
So.
Okay.
Said it happened, so. Yeah. Any other council reports? Mayor, anything?
No, thank you much.
How'd we do?
You did excellent. In fact, you look really good in that seat.
Jeff?
No.
Oh, no, the guy in the white shirt, you look very professional.
Okay, so city manager updates, I don't think, unless wants to call us from his airplane, I don't think we're gonna get a city manager update.
You know, although, what was it, 2 weeks ago, he sent us a report.
He sent a good
And I
report.
appreciate that.
I like that
We
report.
can refer back to that.
That's been a good-
Does that need to be included in minute stuff, Gary? If he sends out his city manager information to us, updates, that's okay to not make that public information that Ty sends to us as a city council
Yeah.
periodically?
Have all of you seen it? It went out to all of you? Is that-
Yes.
Yeah, that could certainly become part of the minutes if you wanted it to.
I don't know that I definitely want it to, but I didn't know if it needed to where it hit all of it. I don't know.
Kind of get mixed emotions. I mean,
Yeah.
he sends it to us. We have the opportunity to ask him at the previous or next meeting about the items that he's talking about. And he will say, because I just sent this out last week, I'm not going to give you as much of an update here at the council meeting. So on one hand,
Up to you.
yeah, to have the information.
Okay, well,
may be good, but on the other hand, could it delay a meeting with discussion information that we already have?
Yeah, and I think, didn't it kind of come about, I think Eric kind of was a driver of that a little bit, where he said a lot of times that he'll be approached with something and he's not really up to speed on.
No, yeah.
Well, and part of
Here's
the
what's
problems
going
are-
on with the electrical stuff out on State Street.
Some meeting, or if we go.
Part of the problem was that drove that was our subdivision ordinance that says anything under 5 doesn't come to the council. We have no clue that subdivisions even going
Of
in.
what's
So that
moving.
kind of prompted a discussion that what can we do to keep up to date?
And it'll become, you know,
Yeah.
with the way we, without any type of a preliminary or final, we even become a little bit more in a vacuum when it
Yeah.
comes to. things
Oh,
like that as well.
and we'll get the email, but it's not like we're responding and
Right.
back and forth between us and him. I'll call him if I have a question,
Heck,
but
for that-
that's,
For the reason of the open meeting, Ty suggests we don't. He asks that we don't
don't
respond to it.
contact him, yes.
Other than to just, we talk
Yeah.
amongst ourselves how much we appreciate it.
Sure, we like it,
Yeah, we're not discussing it. It's just
but
information.
just, okay.
But he'll direct that there not be discussion.
And,
You feel better?
thank you, everyone.
anything down in Layton you want us to discuss about, Gary?
Surf and swim or anything. Just one final thing. Again, I talked to Ty this morning. He was planning on being in on a call tonight, but, again, he wanted to catch a flight home early so he could try to be up in Idaho tomorrow. And actually his words to me were, I hope I make it in time. So it must be pretty imminent. So, yeah.
Yeah, yes, he mentioned to me probably within a couple of days or so.
So anyway, just kind of keep that in mind, I suppose. And anyway, if there is nothing else, then we will adjourn this meeting.
Well, it wasn't a record meeting, but it wasn't either way. It wasn't a record short or a record